Just a few short weeks ago, 21pilots released the album Breach and ended a decade-long story with the music video City Walls. And in many ways, this music video left us asking many more questions than it actually answered about the story. But there was one thing in particular that it did clear up. Just before the release of this music video, in fact earlier that same week, 21pilots released a video entitled I Am Torchbearer. Now this is sort of the companion piece to their video I Am Clancy that they released prior to the release of Clancy. Obviously this video is from the perspective of the other main character in the story, the Torchbearer. And while the video essentially just recapped the events of the story from his perspective instead of Clancy's, there were a couple of details about the story that it introduced, which we hadn't previously known before, and which changed how we saw a lot of the story. And the detail that we will be looking at today is this. Somewhere around the middle of that video, the Torchbearer explains that he and the rest of the Banditos are banished from the city of Dima. Now this may just seem like a minor detail, a small part of the plot, but it is in fact very significant, because the entirety of the rest of the story is centered around one citizen from Dima attempting to escape the city, and being forbidden from escaping, being forbidden from leaving, and constantly being dragged back by Nico and the other bishops back into the city. And it is implied and also explicitly described that the same goes for the rest of the citizens of Dima. They are all kept within the city and ultimately sacrificed as vessels, members of the Glorious Gone, under this, terrible religion of vialism. So why is it that a whole group of these people who have escaped and joined the outlaws called the Banditos are not only not hunted down, they're actually forbidden from coming back, forbidden from re-entering the city? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think this is actually explained by the release of that music video for City Walls. Now, it isn't explicitly detailed. There is no moment in which they turn and say, and this is why we're not allowed back anymore. But the events that play out in that music video, especially at the end, have implications not only for the entire story, but also for smaller details like this. So allow me to briefly recap what happened at the end, although I'm sure, in fact, I hope many of you have already seen the ending, so it won't be spoiled by anything which I'm saying here right now. Obviously, at the end, Clancy defeats Nico and then takes on the mantle of Bishop himself, and the other Banditos up in the tower with him also become bishops. He attempts to hand a cloak, a bishop's robe, to the Torchbearer, who rejects it, turns away, and leaves and goes to find the next Clancy. And the detail here that's important is that Clancy and the other Banditos all become bishops. But why is that important? How does that answer our previous question? Well, I think the implication is this. The Banditos are the group of outlaws that Clancy not only joined, but eventually became the leader of. And in one of the letters that the Torchbearer wrote to Clancy, one of the letters found during the Clancy tour, he begs Clancy to remember where he came from, remember his people, the cries of his people, the raw fear that fueled him, and remember that he must do better if he becomes a bishop. In fact, it would be better probably that he doesn't become a bishop. So the Banditos really are Clancy's people. And then Clancy, as he becomes Nico, as he becomes this new bishop, the Nova Bishop, he is constantly haunted by the memory of what he turned away from, what he gave up, the people that he turned his back on as he became corrupted by the power of psychokinesis and the power of vialism. And so he doesn't want the Banditos, he doesn't want the Torchbearer, he doesn't want them anywhere near his city. He doesn't want them to potentially corrupt his inhabitants, and he doesn't want the painful reminder of the people that he betrayed anywhere near where he is. So they are banished from his sight, not just because he fears what they may do as an enemy, but because he fears the reminder of what he did to them as their friend. And I think the same could also be said about the other bishops. They also were Banditos. They followed Clancy into becoming bishops, and they too now probably don't want the reminder of the people that they left behind and the people they are now pitted against in many ways. So that, in short, is my interpretation of that detail from the I Am Torchbearer video, and the way in which the City Walls music video really provides the context, the background, and the explanation for why that is the case. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of this theory, if you think it makes sense, if you think there is another reason why the Torchbearer and the Banditos are banished from the city. Do let me know in the comments, and as always, don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews.